I thought I'd stick to the issue of art history for a few minutes because it's so fascinating, and I've spent the last few months looking at one particular painting, and at some point I hope I'll get a chance to talk about that too. But we live in a peculiar age where artificial intelligence can spin out a convincing Caravaggio at the touch of a keyboard, yet a real Caravaggio surfaces in an attic and the world ties itself in knots for years over whether it is genuine. The case of Giuseppe Ghilandi's Portrait of a Lady is a story of a disappearance spotted in the real estate ad above a sofa in Buenos Aires, once stolen by Goering's henchman Friedrich Kadgin. The painting promptly vanished as soon as questions were asked. The daughter of the Nazi officer pulled the listing, changed her Instagram name, and claimed ignorance and provenance dissolved in a puff of smoke. Now, contrast that with Toulouse in 2014, not so long ago. A homeowner cleaning out his attic found a grim and visceral canvas, Judith beheading Holofernes. Blood spurts, Judith grimaces, the maid steadies the sword, unmistakably Caravaggesque. Or was it really Caravaggio? Or a skilled follower, perhaps Louis Finson? For 5 years, experts quarrelled. Pigment analysis, X-rays, stylistic comparisons, everything short of a séance was attempted. Some declared it a lost masterpiece worth 150 million euros. Others scoffed. The Louvre refused to acquire it. In 2019, it sold quietly to a quiet buyer, still disputed. The painting has not been seen since. A little bit like the Salvator Mundi, the painting allegedly by Leonardo. One looted portrait disappears when scrutiny arrives. Another rediscovered canvas vanishes because consensus scrutiny never got quite to the point of authentication. And in the same way, there's also the stunt story and the patina of chaos surrounding I think the Van Dycks in a collection, partly in the Royal Collection, many authenticated, and then questions about whether or not that authentication is genuine. There's a lot of hidden paintings, a lot of paintings that have never been on display, secret paintings, lost paintings, suddenly come onto the market, and the experts are thrown into a tizzy. The story in this case is sharpened by Caravaggio himself. Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio was not merely a painter but a thug, a killer, a man perpetually on the run. In 1606, after murdering Tomassoni in a street brawl, whether over a gambling debt or a woman or a boy is still argued, he fled Rome with a price on his head. He painted masterpieces nevertheless in Naples, in Malta, and in Sicily, all while evading justice. He died in exile at the age of 38, possibly of fever, possibly of poisoning, possibly of exhaustion. And here is the central discomfort. A man was brilliant, but also violent, cruel, and unstable. His art glows with realism and raw humanity, yet his life was marked by brutality. And this is not unique to Caravaggio. Consider Eric Gill, the 20th century British artist and sculptor, celebrated for his typefaces, his Stations of the Cross at Westminster Abbey, the statue over the BBC. After his death, diaries revealed, and a frank biography revealed, that he was an abuser, including the abuse of his own daughters and his dog. Suddenly the work became radioactive. Should Gill's statues be destroyed, or at least covered? Should great art be sidelined because the artist was a monster? The Ghirlandi portrait shows us how paintings can vanish because of dishonesty and concealment. The Toulouse Judith shows how authenticity can vanish in a fog of disagreement. But the Caravaggio question presses harder. Should art itself vanish because of the moral failures of its maker? Do we cut off Caravaggio because he was a murderer? Do we silence Gill because he was a paedophile? Do we switch off Rolf Harris's Two Little Boys or I'm a Train songs because he was an abuser and had been in prison? Or do we hold on to the works while facing unflinchingly the crimes of their authors? Is there a point where the crimes of a pop singer, or rather, is there a point where a pop singer's worth is of less value than a Renaissance artist? There's no easy answer to this. To erase the work is to erase the possibility of learning from it and from their failures. To preserve the work without context is to risk glorifying people who should not be heroes. Authenticity today is fragile. A painting can vanish from a website or from consensus or from morality itself. Pigments can be tested, archives scoured, algorithms unleashed, but the final word rests with human judgment, both of the canvas and of the life behind it. And so the question remains, how much can we separate art from the artist? When we look at Caravaggio's violent, luminous canvases, are we seeing the murderer or the genius, or both inseparably?